beyond the oldest, darkest reaches of our solar system, past where sunlight is nothing more than a memory. A machine built by humans has been drifting for nearly half a century. Voyager 2, launched in 1977, wasn't built to return, only to witness. It crossed the planets, exited the heliosphere, and entered the interstellar medium as humanity's furthest emissary into the void. But while the world moved on, Voyager 2 kept listening. And last month, it spoke back, not with a technical update, not with radiation or solar data, but with something no one expected, a transmission so structured, so deliberate, and so wrong it left experts frozen. At first, the message seemed like background static, but buried inside was a repeating burst, precise, rhythmic, unnatural. Scientists decoded it, thinking it was interference. What they found instead was terrifying, a pattern, intelligent, complex, and absolutely not from Earth. When they traced the event back to its source, they realized something was moving near Voyager 2. Not drifting, not orbiting, tracking. In that moment, the old spacecraft became more than a machine. It became a mirror reflecting a truth we've long denied. Voyager 2's instruments, though outdated by today's standards, are still remarkably sensitive, designed to pick up the most subtle changes in plasma waves, magnetic fields, and cosmic radiation. But in a recent batch of data pulled from the Deep Space Network, a low-frequency spike appeared, one that repeated every 11.2 seconds. That's not cosmic background noise. That's a clock. Engineers initially dismissed it as a software glitch caused by deep space interference. But when they checked older telemetry logs, they discovered that the same pulse had occurred weeks earlier and had been missed completely. Now, with AI-enhanced filtering tools, the data painted a disturbing picture. The pulse wasn't just recurring, it was increasing in strength, and it was coming from outside the probe. Even more chilling, the pulse appeared to carry a spectral signature, an inverted hydrogen resonance, the most abundant element in the universe, but twisted. Some called it a cosmic anomaly. Others believed it was intentional tampering. Either way, the silence of deep space had been broken, not by noise, but by something that knew how to speak mathematically. Using triangulation and frequency delay analysis, Mission Control determined that the source of the pulse was not stationary. It was moving along a vector parallel to Voyager 2's trajectory, as if it were tailing the spacecraft. But this object didn't follow any known orbital mechanics. It accelerated and decelerated in short bursts, completely defying gravitational influence. Simulations based on Newtonian physics failed. The object wasn't coasting. It was correcting, adjusting its speed in response to Voyager's faint transmissions. And it wasn't broadcasting toward us. It was reflecting the signal, bouncing a modified version of Voyager's data stream back into the void. Theories exploded. Was it a rogue satellite? A relic of an alien civilization? A cloaked surveillance system? Whatever it was, it had waited in silence for decades until now. And Voyager's signal might have been the trigger. Things grew stranger when linguists and signal theorists were brought in. Within the anomalous transmission were binary segments that didn't originate from Voyager 2's command protocols. When visualized using pattern recognition tools, those segments formed symmetrical shapes, spirals, fractals, and geometric alignments eerily resembling ancient symbols found on Earth, from Sumerian cuneiform to Nazca glyphs. These weren't just signals, they were glyphs encoded in waveforms. The deeper scientists looked, the clearer it became. The structure of the message was non-random and eerily consistent with how intelligent beings might encode visual concepts using electromagnetic harmonics. Some speculated this wasn't a broadcast, but a test, a way to measure whether humanity could even recognize a message buried in such complexity. And that test had just been passed. Voyager had become an interstellar trigger, and someone out there had finally decided to answer back. Then came the final piece. A young physicist at Caltech ran the signal through a deep neural AI designed to simulate cryptographic responses. What came back wasn't a translation, it was a recurrence. The AI began producing predictive patterns mirroring the transmission's logic, anticipating what might come next. That would be impossible unless the signal itself was recursive, a loop meant to provoke interaction, like a riddle waiting to be solved. At the same time, Voyager 1, billions of miles away, registered a magnetic fluctuation similar to Voyager 2's pulse. Two spacecraft, two anomalies, one coordinated event. The question was no longer what was out there, but why now? Why, after almost 50 years of silence, would something suddenly respond, just as humanity reached the cusp of decoding it? Then, just when scientists thought they had more time, Voyager 2 went completely silent. Ground control assumed it was a hardware malfunction. It's over 46 years old, after all. But then identical anomalies struck. Deep Space Network receivers in California, Spain, and Australia all reported a loss of signal at the exact same timestamp, 1437 Universal Time Coordinated. A global simultaneous failure, impossible by chance. Something had cut the signal off from the outside, deliberately, precisely, matching Voyager's pulse pattern. 5 minutes later, a narrowband radio wave hit Earth from the same quadrant of space. It carried no identifiable structure, but matched the strength of distant pulsars, except this wasn't from a neutron star. It was from somewhere near Voyager 2, and it was getting closer. In a classified briefing, data leaked from the Jet Propulsion Laboratory revealed a chilling update. A foreign object had begun altering course in response to Earth's deep space pings. Each time Earth sent a command toward Voyager 2, the object adjusted slightly. It wasn't just hearing us, it was studying how we communicate. Its path was no longer random. It was intercepting, moving toward our solar system. Analysts called it Echo Lantern because it mimicked light and silence, turning our own technology into its beacon. Voyager's signal had become a breadcrumb trail, not for us to find something, but for something to find us. As the object neared the heliopause, the invisible boundary separating solar winds from interstellar space, a strange phenomenon occurred. The solar wind bent. NASA's IBEX probe and ESA's solar orbiter recorded a total collapse of solar flow along a narrow corridor pointing toward Voyager 2. For 3 hours, the solar veil stayed open. Inside it, no radiation, no particles, just silence. It was as if something had opened a door, not through space, but through the physics that govern it. Scientists called it the first evidence of intentional manipulation of solar particles. The only candidate capable of triggering it was still tracking near Voyager 2. Then Voyager 2 spoke again, but the data was encrypted. That's impossible. Voyager has no encryption protocols. Yet when decoded, it revealed a rearranged version of the golden record, the message we sent in 1977. This time, the human voices were reversed, the music warped, the star charts inverted. Some coordinates no longer pointed to Earth, but to dark, interstellar voids. It was as if Voyager had been hijacked, its message rewritten. Not to say we are here, but we are listening now. Further analysis showed several of Voyager's onboard command subroutines had been rewritten, not corrupted, but deliberately updated with syntax its 1970s hardware shouldn't even recognize. These routines pointed to one specific function, long-range broadcast, but not toward Earth, toward deep space. Voyager wasn't just listening anymore, it was responding, and no one knew what it said. Within hours, global observatories were ordered to redirect instruments toward 3 deep space sectors. Encrypted communications leaked mentioning the Wake Protocol, a directive reserved for confirmed contact scenarios. It mandates satellite lockdowns, frequency suspensions, and telescope reroutes beyond the Kuiper Belt. Because once a probe sends a message without human approval, first contact is no longer ours to control. Then came the temporal echo, a 41-minute window where data packets repeated perfectly, as if time itself had glitched. Voyager 2's feed looped, and unrelated probes echoed the same distortion. Some physicists now believe this was a ripple in space-time, localized, deliberate, and intelligent. They called it Chronos bloom. If time was touched, the rules of reality had changed. 2 days later, Ground stations in Norway and New Zealand detected a signal entering Earth's atmosphere directly from interstellar space. It was high-frequency, narrowband, and carried the same harmonics as Voyager's anomaly. Worse, it embedded itself into our global infrastructure, piggybacking across satellites, sensors, and undersea cables. It didn't just pass through, it stayed. Now, that signal exists within our networks. MIT researchers traced it inside data packets across the cloud, repeating quietly, a digital hum in our systems. Not a virus, not a weapon, but a presence. A space transmission billions of kilometers away had entered Earth's nervous system, rewriting how machines talk to one another. Some call it communication, others assimilation. Then, for 18 minutes, the universe itself went silent. Every radio telescope recorded zero background radiation, the hiss of the cosmos gone. When the signal returned, it was subtly different, phase-shifted, warped, altered. It matched Voyager 2's last transmission. The hypothesis? The silence was a reset, a momentary override of reality to insert something new. We sent Voyager 2 into the cosmos as a message of hope, a bottle cast into the cosmic sea. But what if it wasn't found by chance? What if it was expected? What if our greeting wasn't an introduction, but a trigger? Because everything, the pulses, the rewritten code, the warped silence, points to one truth. Something out there didn't just notice us. It waited, and now, it's using our creations to speak back. The question isn't whether they're listening, it's whether they ever stopped. Maybe Voyager 2 didn't discover something alien. Maybe it awakened something ancient, something that always knew we'd come looking. And now that it has answered, we no longer control the conversation. The only question that remains is, what did we awaken, and can we survive a reply?